death. This shaking giveth the peace of satiate lust. Immortality jetteth from my skull, and music from my vulva. Immortality jetteth from my vulva also, for my whoredom is a sweet scent, like a seven-stringed instrument, played unto God, the invisible. It goeth along giving the shrill scream of orgasm. O mari Thessalamax, Thessaladori forne pax, Amri radara poliax, Armana heliu, Amri radara piliuson, Marinaria barbaton, Madara anafasarpedon, Andala heliu.
Are you still rolling?
I am.
Okay. The Alombrados Oasis is a venue I stumbled into sort of by accident. I was touring with a friend of mine, Enrique Ugoldi, who performs under the name Soraya, and we were doing a tour together in the Southeast. He was booked for a show at the Alombrados Oasis, and he at the last minute kind of threw me onto the gig. And I walked into the door, and the space was fantastic. This place in particular had so much energy, not just because it was this enormous old house, and who knows what has happened there. And even if you don't know what happened there, it sparks your imagination to just fly and run wild. But the entire floor of the house has been cleared out and made into a temple.
Shall lighten in the sun.
There's an acoustic to these old houses made most manifest in this particular building, this particular structure and the way it's set up, that I've ever heard. I fantasized when I was in the violin business about standing inside of a violin. It's a wooden chamber with a single pillar supporting the roof, and the whole thing is designed to amplify and reflect vibrations and create all of the overtones that make the single note that you're playing, the T wave, become this rich, nuanced vibration like a voice. This place is like standing inside of an acoustic instrument, and I knew it right away.
Really?
My name is Mercer. I grew up busking. It was my first paying gig at 17 years old. When I travel, in fact, even in my home of Atlanta, whenever I can, I go busk. This is the way I center myself and ground myself. To me, it's meditation. It's the purest form of expression because nobody paid to see you. Nobody knows who you are. It's a pure exchange between the audience and the performer. If you like it, stop and listen. If you really like it and you have some money, give some. If you don't like it, walk by. Or say something nasty. Or, grab their instrument and break it over their head. It's kind of chaotic. I started street performing as a mime. I did a living statue routine where I stood with the violin in my hands, completely still, and I thought, well, this is kind of, cool looking, and if somebody drops $1 in my case, I will creak to life like a clockwork statue and play the violin for a few minutes. And then I'll wind down, and if they want to hear more, they'll drop another $1 in the case. What I found was when I was playing the violin, it made a lot more money than when I was standing stock still like a living statue, a skill which, by the way, I've completely lost. That was a little bit of a wake-up call. I still didn't think it had real value to anybody but me, but I went to school after high school. I went to college, I guess, and I could not stop doing this. I couldn't stop playing the violin, and the audience was part of the equation, or the location was part of the equation. And this music was different than the music I grew up playing. It was just this music that seemed to erupt from inside you. It was almost like eating too much. It had to come out, and that's how I ended up doing this for a living, and also how I ended up picking the weirdest places to play, because the inspiration, regardless of what that inspiration actually is, maybe there's alien jellyfish that we can't see that float through us on another dimension that manipulate our brains with their tentacles, or maybe it just looks really cool to me, or it reminds me of something I saw a long time in the past, or a dream. But places and ideas and things and acoustics are really the meat of the compositions I create spontaneously. There's this fascinating acoustic environment of hyper amplification of the violin, of being able to hear the finest nuance exploded. Atmosphere created by the fact that people are performing religious observances there. Religion might not be the right term, I'm not the initiate. Magical observances or structured intellectual observances. But that all, I think, leaves a residue or an energy or an idea. Even the knowledge of it leaves an idea in my mind. And all of that sparks a flight of fancy, which becomes a mathematical progression of harmonic tones that I reproduce on this tiny wooden box in my arms. way too late in the day on a Sunday in New Orleans to stake out a spot to bus.
I hear you, man.
We're going to go over here. I used to call this Piss Alley the river of human piss. Church quiet zone. That's an arrestable offense. By order of the Archbishop of Louisiana. I'm afraid that I'd just be inciting violence if I
Where you
set
feel
up anywhere on Royal Street. Well, sadly, this whole process involves mostly walking around for 30 minutes to an hour and finding a spot that works and then doing it.
Quiet zone sign looks like it's asking for your music moment.
It does actually mean that I can get in trouble for it.
I'll fight off anyone that comes.
Well,
With the stick.
I'd like to say this gives us cinematic immunity.
Yes, those can be volunteers or
The perfect environment for doing what I do, because imagine a Russian doll. There's a microcosm inside a microcosm inside a microcosm. There's my mind inside the violin, inside the room, inside New Orleans, and the whole thing just expands outward from that one point. And that's how I think about it. And this is the part where words become present and a problem to explain, because every time you put a concept into a word, the word has notions that you accept and other people accept. And whether or not your two definitions of a word completely gel or interact with each other, you never really know. But this is one of those places that you can transcend words, because the harmonies can speak for themselves. And the mathematical order, the progression, both in sound waves and in ideas, seem to launch outward from a single point. And to be the channel for the music that emerges from that single point is fascinating.